What if you just die and then you just see nothing forever?
Are you afraid of death, by the way?
Yes.
Ever wondered how close one of the biggest YouTubers, MrBeast, has come to losing everything, his fortune, his dreams, and even his life? What if I told you that Jimmy Donaldson has faced death more than once and still continues to risk it all for the sake of entertaining millions? From being buried alive for 50 hours and almost suffocating, to a mysterious armed robbery that could have destroyed his entire career, and even a near-fatal incident with his closest friends, this is not your average YouTuber story. Stick around, because these are the 10 times MrBeast narrowly escaped death, and trust me, the final one will shock you. 1. The Buried Alive Challenge. MrBeast's 50-hour Buried Alive Challenge is one of his most infamous videos. While buried in a coffin underground with cameras and a ventilation system for safety, things took a terrifying turn. His friends Carl and Chris were having fun above ground, setting off fireworks, but one of their stunts caused smoke to infiltrate the ventilation system. Jimmy began smelling smoke and realized how quickly the situation could escalate. If more smoke entered the system, he wouldn't have lasted long enough for anyone to dig him out in time. To make matters worse, there was a brief moment when the power supply to the ventilation system flickered, creating a chilling realization of how fragile his lifeline truly was. Add to that the claustrophobia and a moment where he got stuck adjusting a camera in the coffin, Jimmy thought it was all over. His breathing became heavier and panic set in. The cramped space amplified his fear, and the thought of suffocating became unbearable. Jimmy later recalled how the stress caused him to doubt whether he would ever make it out alive, emphasizing how dire the situation truly was. Despite the success of the video, he has since called it one of the most mentally exhausting challenges he's ever done. 2. Flying knives. During the balloon challenge, MrBeast joined the How Ridiculous team in a challenge to pop giant balloons with small knives. It was all fun until the knives started bouncing back with terrifying precision. One of them hit Jimmy in the forehead, leaving him bleeding. If the knife had struck just an inch lower, it could have cost him an eye. Though he laughed it off, this incident made Jimmy realize how quickly fun could turn deadly. The team's safety measures were completely thrown out the window as the knives ricocheted unpredictably, and it wasn't just Jimmy at risk. The entire crew had to dodge flying blades. Some knives even landed close to the expensive camera equipment, risking damage that could have shut down the production altogether. The knives weren't just bouncing back, they were coming at unexpected angles and at such speed that they were nearly impossible to dodge. After one grazed his forehead, Jimmy understood the fine line between risky stunts and outright danger. This incident forced him to rethink how seriously safety precautions should be taken moving forward, marking a turning point in how his team approached their high-stakes content. 3. StalkERS tracking his every move. Being famous comes with its downsides, and for MrBeast, this meant an entire Discord server dedicated to tracking his real-time location. Fans tagged him in public photos, analyzed his movements, and showed up wherever he went. In one instance, a kid at Target approached him saying, "It's real," referring to the Discord server. The thought of strangers knowing his exact location at all times sent chills down his spine. What made it worse was that some stalkers weren't just fans, they were people with malicious intent, attempting to dig up private information about his family and finances. For Jimmy, it was a wake-up call to beef up security. The situation became so intense that he had to change his routines, hire professional security, and remain extremely cautious. Even minor details about his day became risks for exploitation. This wasn't just an invasion of privacy, it was a serious threat to his safety. The idea of strangers tracking his every move made him feel vulnerable, forcing him to rethink how open he was with fans. Jimmy later shared that incidents like these were a reminder of the darker side of fame, leading him to implement measures such as decoy locations and encrypted communications. 4. Crohn's disease diagnosis. At just 15 years old, Jimmy was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, an inflammatory bowel condition that left him weak, depressed, and in constant pain. He lost 60 pounds in a few weeks and was bedridden for months. This diagnosis not only shattered his dreams of playing baseball professionally, but also made everyday life a struggle. During this difficult time, Jimmy found solace in creating YouTube videos, a decision that changed his life forever. Despite painful flare-ups, he pushed through by focusing on his passion for making videos. Crohn's disease became a part of his identity, shaping his resilience. Jimmy's battle with the disease extended beyond physical symptoms. He also faced bullying at school. as some classmates didn't understand his condition and teased him for his frail appearance. Creating content became both his escape and his motivation to keep going, eventually turning his hardships into a thriving career. Jimmy's perseverance through these challenges became an inspiration to many, showing that even severe health conditions don't have to define one's future. 5. Armed robbery at home before becoming a millionaire. Jimmy lived in a small duplex in a bad neighborhood. One day his house was broken into and the thief stole all his belongings, including his laptop. The laptop contained the private key to his Bitcoin wallet, which at the time held $2 million, every dollar he owned. Luckily, the thief was too focused on physical items like a TV and blankets to realize the value of the Bitcoin. However, the break-in wasn't a one-time event. Jimmy revealed that there had been previous attempts to target his home, some of which he narrowly avoided by being away. He later called the thief an idiot, but admitted this event made him paranoid about security. It was a harsh lesson on vulnerability, and it led Jimmy to implement stricter security measures. This incident could have easily derailed his career and finances, forcing him to reflect on how much he had to lose. The robbery wasn't just about losing possessions, it was a wake-up call about the risks that come with success, especially when living in an area where crime rates were high. 6. Overheating in the ocean. In an attempt to win a game of Fortnite while floating in the ocean, MrBeast nearly succumbed to heat exhaustion. Sitting inside a plastic ball under the scorching sun, Jimmy struggled to breathe and felt like he was going to pass out. Though he eventually moved to a yacht to continue the challenge, the intense heat and confined space of the plastic ball left him dizzy and disoriented. His team quickly noticed how serious his condition was and took steps to cool him down. What wasn't shown in the final video was how close Jimmy came to losing consciousness, as dehydration combined with the extreme heat pushed his body to its limits. This moment became a turning point, reminding Jimmy that not every stunt is worth the risk. Heat exhaustion could have led to severe dehydration or worse, and the experience taught him to prioritize safety when planning stunts. Afterward, Jimmy confessed he felt like he underestimated the power of the elements and vowed to prepare more thoroughly in the future. 7. Ice House Challenge. Spending 24 hours in a house made entirely of ice might sound fun until you realize how extreme the cold can be. Jimmy shivered through the night, unable to sleep or properly use the ice toilet. The freezing temperatures caused some cameras to stop working. At one point, frost began forming on Jimmy's hair and clothes, a stark reminder of how harsh the environment was. Prolonged exposure to the cold could have led to frostbite or permanent damage to his fingers and toes. At one point, his team was worried about early signs of hypothermia as Jimmy began slurring his words and losing coordination. Jimmy later admitted he regretted doing the video, calling it the most miserable experience of his life. The challenge was a testament to his endurance, but it came at a physical and mental cost. Despite these hardships, Jimmy pushed through and completed the video, later saying it was a lesson in how far he was willing to go for his audience. 8. Carl's moped accident. While filming with the team, Carl suffered a terrifying moped accident. He was riding behind another team member when they suddenly braked, causing Carl's moped to flip. He slid across the road with the 250-pound moped landing on top of him. Carl suffered significant injuries, including deep cuts, bruises, and a fractured wrist. The accident wasn't just a close call. It required Carl to take a break from filming for weeks to recover. This incident was a stark reminder of the risks involved in their extreme challenges. The accident shook the entire crew, forcing them to reflect on the dangers of their stunts. Jimmy later revealed that the incident prompted a review of their safety protocols, ensuring that future activities were planned with more precautions in place. It also brought the team closer together as they supported Carl through his recovery. 9. Dangerous helicopter ride. During one of his ambitious videos, MrBeast took a helicopter ride that pushed safety boundaries. The stunt involved hanging large objects from the helicopter mid-flight, which created extreme turbulence. Though Jimmy hasn't shared full details, those close to him say it was one of the scariest moments of his career. The forces generated by the objects created dangerous shifts in the helicopter's stability, making it a near miss Jimmy will never forget. At one point, the pilot had to make an emergency adjustment to avoid a potential crash when one of the objects began swinging erratically. The stunt tested both the crew's nerves and their willingness to push limits, highlighting the dangers of even well-planned challenges. Jimmy later confessed that while the footage turned out spectacular, he wasn't sure if the risk was worth it. The incident reinforced his respect for professionals and the need to trust their expertise when executing risky plans. 10. Nearly electrocuted in a pool. In another wild stunt, Jimmy was inside a pool filled with objects when an electric device fell into the water. Though the device wasn't plugged in, it was enough to scare everyone on set. The object's fall caused a brief moment of panic, with crew members rushing to unplug any nearby electrical equipment. Had the device been live, Jimmy and his crew could have been electrocuted. This moment was a harsh lesson about the importance of double-checking safety measures during high-risk challenges. The close call made him realize how quickly things could go wrong, reinforcing the importance of thorough planning in future stunts. Jimmy later admitted that the incident was a reminder of how easily mistakes can lead to tragedy, motivating him to take even minor safety details more seriously moving forward.